Hello and welcome to Penelope's Chinwag. I haven't been here for 4 weeks. Have you missed me? Yeah, there's been quite a lot going on. And before I start, shall I tell you about it? First of all, I went down with a virus, which was a hateful virus. And it laid me up for about a week. Then it got a little bit better, which was good. Then my daughter Nicola, who's Tommy's nan, she had a major op. So that was a little bit hold your breath, but honestly, she's recovered so well. What else happened? Then Pete was found to have a cancerous spot on his back. So he's been to have surgery and had that removed. Then I went down with the virus again. As the doctor said to me, I think you've got a little bit low. Well, I may have done. I didn't feel low last time I saw you. But these things happen, don't they, when a lot goes on. And so Pete's waiting for his results, I think in about 4 weeks. They say 4 to 6 weeks. Nicola's got her results middle of September. So we're pretty hopeful for that too. My virus has moved on a bit now, thankfully, but I'm still resting. The other thing that happened that was a little bit, well, it was very worrying for me, was right at the beginning of when I saw you last. We heard water escaping through the pipes and we had a major water leak. Not just a drippy tap, this was underneath in the pipe that goes under the floor. And it was in our sideway. And they said they could estimate by looking at the, valve, that it was leaking 4 litres a minute. That's a lot of water, isn't it? 4 litres a minute. So, of course, the insurance said they would come along and sort it all out for us, which was a big relief. But they couldn't do it for 3 weeks. And then the guy phoned in sick. And so it was only last weekend that they did it. That was such a worry for me because a few years ago, Pete was out on the drive just sweeping up the leaves. I was at work and I was coming home from work. It was about 4:30 and this lady stopped me in the road and she said, just stop, get out your car. You can't drive onto your drive. I said, why not? She said, your husband's fallen down a hole. Well, a hole? What do you mean? A hobbit hole? What do you mean? Just come along, come round and see. I think I went into a bit of a shock then. And when I came round, well, I'll put the picture up here. It was a sinkhole. He didn't fall right to the bottom, but he did, half his body went down. And that was because there was a leak in the outside stopcock that was in the road. And that was gushing through the pipe and had worn away the chalk. That was all fixed, but of course you can see where I was going. And when I said to the men, but I've had a sinkhole on my drive and, oh yes, love, yes, they imagine. And when I showed them the picture, oh, see what you mean. But sorry, we can't come any earlier. So for 3 weeks, I had 4 litres of water gushing through the pipe. I put a little film up here of the day they came to mend it. And I think that caused me quite a lot of worry. I went to see the doctor a couple of times with my virus and he said, you could have your throat checked. So off I went to Ashford Hospital. Nicola took me. It was, a good hour away. And, I saw the most wonderful, wonderful specialist. And, he was sitting on one of those chairs with the wheels in front of his screen. And he looked down my throat and he said, nothing to worry about. You've got 3 cysts. But he said, you don't need to do anything about them. You'll always have them. They might change. They might, anyway, not to worry. Well, I was so overjoyed with that news that as he came scooting along on his chair, I just flung my arms around him and gave him a big hug. The nurse laughed. Everybody was laughing. It was just... Well, it was a special moment. But actually he said, well, I was coming towards you just to check your ears. So, oh, well, that was that. So I've been checked out. Pete's had his op. Nicola's had hers. The virus, I think will be all right so long as I rest and the leak has been fixed. I think you'll agree. I couldn't really come on and do any chin wag, and I've missed it. I've been chatting to you all, you know, in my head. But what I did do craft-wise before I went down with the virus and all of that, as you know, my daughter gave me a couple of kits that were languishing in her cupboard because she hasn't got time to do them now, and she bought them, I think, just after lockdown. And it's the Secret Squirrel. I can't say that. Secret Squirrel. And they're very nice kits, and they're still doing them. I showed you last time the one I did, a mini quilt, which we love and is on my coffee table in the lounge. And this was the other one I did. Honestly, it only took me an evening. Well, maybe a little bit more, but I think more or less an afternoon and an evening. And it's a book cover. So I did the little embroidery on the book cover. Beautiful fabric she supplies you with. Just a little bit of quilting down there. She supplies you with the book too. Full instructions. And I like the way she did this. She tells you how to do this, just like a pillowcase. So all of the seam is inside. You fold it this way, fold it that way. I did it all by hand. It was quite simple. Nice bit of wadding supplied too. And I'm very pleased with it. And of course it gives you ideas for other books, doesn't it? And other presents. So that's what I've done craft-wise. However, there was something else I did, because when you're feeling like I was and everything going on, I wanted something that was quite, not mindless, but, you know, something I didn't have to think about. And I've got a bowl of little scraps. And I thought, come on, let's use up these little scraps. And that's what I did. 24 scraps. I've just got that in soak at the minute, and I'll show you that tomorrow when it's dry. So I say cheerio, and I'll see you in the morning. So that's how it's been here at the weekends. Very, very busy on the beach. But it's lovely. It's summer, isn't it? And everybody's been enjoying themselves with the beautiful weather. So Tuesday today, and I thought I would read you chapter 2 of Pete's story. He's enjoying writing these, and it's been good for us to go over it. We, you know, it's brought up a few things for us that we've chatted about. Anyway, this chapter is called Earliest Memories, and I just thought it would be a quiet little day to read you that, and then I'll show you my what I've been knitting. It's dry now. Chapter 2, Earliest Memories. On the 8th of May 1945, I was just over 3 months old when the war in Europe ended. It must have been wonderful for the family. Dad was stationed in Italy at the time, and I don't know exactly when he came home. I don't remember seeing much of him when I was very young. Was there a street party? I don't know. Maybe there was. We never talked about it. So many questions. Too late to ask now. Rationing didn't end until I was 9, but I don't remember ever going hungry. Mum must have managed well. Some houses in Bowes Road had suffered from blast damage. A bomb dropped at the corner of Green Lanes and Prince's Avenue on the 15th of March 1941. It flattened a row of shops, a bank and the local dance hall. At number 119, where my aunties and uncles lived, I remember seeing cracks in the ceiling. Blast damage, they called it. Getting back to those really early years when I was still in my pram, I have a vivid memory. Years later, when I was married, I spoke to Mum about it, and she confirmed it was true. I think it says a lot about the way trauma was absorbed into everyday life, how communities understood things without needing to explain them, and how attitudes have changed. I was in my pram when an old man came along and hit it with his stick. I remember the shock of it. I must have been very small, but the moment stayed with me. Mum had left me outside the Wonderloaf bakery, as you did back then, and when she came out, she saw the old man give the pram a thump with his stick. I must have screamed. She told me that all the local women knew about him. He didn't hurt the children, he just hit the prams. No one really knew why, but they said something had happened to him during the First World War. Shell shock, they probably would have said back then. Nowadays we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. That was just what he did. He hit the prams. Strange to think of now, but the women accepted it. They watched for him, made sure the babies were safe, but they didn't panic or call anyone. It was just part of the fabric of life. Wouldn't happen now, of course, but Mum said he wouldn't have done you any harm. Mr. and Mrs. Paulson shared number 38. They lived in the downstairs flat with their 2 young boys. They were a bit older than me, but they let me play with them in their garden. Mrs. Paulson let us do anything we wanted in that garden. Dig it up, make tracks, make goals, whatever we fancied. It was completely ours. No grass to ruin, no flowers to avoid. Just mud. It was a proper childhood playground, and she never once complained. When I was 5, we moved house, and I thought I'd really miss that special place. But as it turned out, there was a park nearby, and that became the next chapter in my small adventures. Mum was never house proud, but there were a couple of things she was fussy about: her net curtains and her windows. She cleaned both regularly. I remember one day in particular, she was cleaning the outside of the first floor sash window by sitting on the window ledge, leaning out. To keep herself safe, if you could call it that, she closed the window onto her lap. When she finished, she had to lift the window up to get back in. Cleaning the inside seemed easier, but that day something went wrong. The glass broke, and her arm went straight through it, cutting her just above the artery at her wrist. Mum stayed calm. She told me to go and get Mrs. Paulson, who lived 4 doors down. How I managed to do that, I don't remember, but I did. We didn't have a phone. Not many people did. I suppose someone ran to the nearest phone box or shop to call an ambulance. They bound up her arm, and Mrs. Paulson looked after me while Mum went to hospital. Her version of looking after me? Slabs of bread and jam. And I remember it clearly. I felt safe with her. The doctor said Mum was lucky. I was happy at number 30. Friends and family close by, a strong sense of home. But as I write this now, I imagine Mum and Dad must have been facing a difficult time. It must have been a shock. The council told them that they had to leave the house. The road was being widened to make a dual carriageway, and the houses were to be flattened, just like that. As it turned out, the A406 North Circular Road became a controversial build. In the end, the widening never reached our stretch. For decades afterwards, You could drive past Mrs. Polson's apple tree, still standing on the side of the unwidened road, some 40 or 50 years later. Luckily, 119 and the Ritz Cinema are still there, familiar landmarks, anchors to the past. But at the time, it felt like one day I was living at 30 Bowes Road, and the next I was in Norfolk Avenue. Not too far away, but far enough. That's for another chapter. Yeah, so I think the next chapter is about 119 Bowes Road. So they're Pete's words about his early memories. So I appreciate those. I hope you do too. Now I'm just going to nip downstairs and get the Dust of Snow. I decided to knit the Dust of Snow wrap by Helen Stewart. Have you seen it? There it is. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree has given me heart, a change of mood, and saved some part of a day I had rued. A Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. And yeah, you know, that's how it was for me really knitting this, because, you know, my daughter had her op, then Pete had his little op, and, you know, I had to go and see the specialist, then we had the water. So there was all this, and I didn't feel well, as I told you all of that. And something was happening every day that was, yeah, quite a lot. And the Dust of Snow wrap is designed around the idea of peaceful moments in the midst of holiday chaos. Because it's 24, she thinks that you could, you know, make an advent with it. But anyway, I knitted one a long time ago. Well, I think it was probably during lockdown. I knitted one for my mum, I knitted one for me, I knitted one for my daughter Kim, I think I knitted one for my friend Heather. So I've done quite a lot. Now these I knitted with floof, and so you can see how it dilutes the colours, although for me I chose pale colours. These are all from Ellie of Craft House Magic, and I love them. But can you see how with the floof, yeah, it's quite like that. I didn't knit it as long as it should be with this, because I thought I'm short, I don't need it. And probably with this, because it's thicker, I wouldn't want it too long. Although it's long enough, as you can see. So let's get to it. Let's show you what I've knitted. I'll start at one end. You can see the pattern without that floof a lot clearer, can't you? And it's all different wool. Some of it is, this is, you know, that beautiful silk and, oh, my brain's gone. Anyway, alpaca and silk. And then other is just the wool. This, of course, is my favourite colour. Oh, with the little pinks and blues. But you see how you do 2 rows of it and then carry 2 rows into the next. These I never thought I'd ever knit because they're not my colours, and I had them, I think they were sent, you know, sometimes when you buy wool they send you a little gift, and they're not really my colours, but in this it looks lovely. So I'll leave it there today, and I'm going to put up a little film of the seaside without too many people on it, because after the weekends they all go home and we have the place not to ourselves, but it's very nice, it's very restful. I'll see you tomorrow, middle of the week Wednesday. Bye bye. Morning, it's Wednesday. How the week goes by when I do my videos like this, it's amazing. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about a couple of things. One of them being the Sawyer beetle. Have you heard of it? I hadn't, but a lovely viewer, a young viewer, who's now started looking at, insects and whatnot because I've been doing my fascinating fact. That's a lovely thought. It really is. Anyway, I've been learning about the Sawyer beetle because this particular guy lives in North America, and that's where you can find these very easily. Called the Sawyer beetle or the white spotted Sawyer beetle, and that white spot I've learned is very, very important. It has long antennae, and sometimes the antennae are longer than its body, and that's the classic trait of a longhorn beetle, obviously. It's black or it's very dark brown, got this distinctive white spot on its upper back. They're mostly found in pine or spruce forests, and females lay their eggs in dead or dying or stressed trees, which is the key point really. What they do is they help to decompose this dead and dying wood. They're attracted to freshly cut or fire damaged trees, which I should think is very good then, because if you get these fires, in North America, then these beetles are really going to break down that wood. They can be found resting on logs or flying noisily in the summer. And the ecological role is that although they can damage timber, they're also important in nature because they help recycle dead or dying trees into soil by breaking down the wood. They also prey for birds, parasitic wasps, and other woodland predators. Now, they're often mistaken for Asian longhorned beetles, which are invasive and destructive. But the Sawyer beetle is native and part of the natural forest cycle. Because what happens with the Asian longhorned, is that they lay their eggs, their larvae, into good trees, and that's the damage of a whole forest, because that good tree then, it obviously starts to decay, whereas these are the opposite. They lay in decaying wood. Oh, there's some fun facts about a white-spotted Sawyer beetle. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, last night Pete and I sat watching a couple of episodes of The Repair Shop, and the way they repair these things, it's just absolutely amazing. And my son-in-law asked me to repair something, but he said, "Pen, don't worry about making it as good as new." Fat chance, I thought, because I don't want it as good as new, because it's got so many memories. I made for the bed, which is a 5-foot bed, and it does hang over the edges, a runner. I made this many, many years ago. I did the embroideries. I hand pieced the quilt, and then I hand quilted it. But it has taken an absolute bashing, because the darling dog of my daughter, who was called Freddie, and actually a year ago this week they had to have him put to sleep, but I think they had him 15 years, so he was a good age, but still very, very much missed. And he used to sleep on this bed runner. I mean, if I'd known, I might have said, well, it did take me rather a long time to do 12 embroideries, hand piece, and then hand quilt. But you know what? Because Freddie slept on it, it's made it very, very special. And so I've been repairing it. I repaired it last night, only took me an evening. I couldn't repair it it's hardly got any wadding in it. Because my daughter has obviously washed and washed and washed it because Freddie slept on it. There's the quilting all the way along. I like that pattern. It's a very nice pattern. And then I did 12 embroideries. I'll show you. Some of them on the end, they've kept quite nicely. Let's look at this end. Is this end all right? Oh, a little bit worn there. They're quite fun embroideries. Folksy. But of course, as you get to the middle, not too bad. What's the one that's really... I like the beehive. Yeah, that's not too bad. A few stitches missing there. I can replace those. I did the stitching around the edge, and there's one particularly bad one where he obviously loved to lay because most of the embroidery's gone. Yes, the roof of the house has gone, and some of those that one was really frayed, but I did my best. I couldn't even do a black line round it because I had to turn it in, but there we are. He loves it, not only because he loved it, but because the darling dog slept on it. So it's a memory of Freddie. It's in memory of Freddie. So that's off my to-do pile. I'm really pleased that I did that last night. And I think watching 2 episodes of The Repair Shop really inspired me. So I'm just going to put up a little film of my glory tree. When I look out of my kitchen window, I see the glory tree covered in blossom, and that blossom smells like jasmine. So when we've had the conservatory doors open, the smell that's just coming through, with the sun on it, is beautiful. And just a couple of shots of the garden. And what happens with the glory tree is each one of those flowers turns into like a blueberry, and they glisten in the autumn. So I've got that to look forward to. I'm sitting here looking out of the window. I'll put a picture up. So I'll see you tomorrow, and that'll be Thursday. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye. Morning. It's Thursday. Pete's cooking me lunch, so while he's doing that, I thought I'd pop on and say hello again. Got a few things to show you, a few thoughts I want to share, and see what you think about them. I've been thinking about my next project, and I've decided to do a bed runner, and I know who I've got in mind for it. And what I want to use is this fabric here. Do you remember I did a William Morris quilt kit, and they give you plenty of fabric, and so this is what I've got left over. Plenty here for what I want, because what I want to do is make a double wedding ring quilt. I thought I'd take you along and show you how I do it, if I do it. Just thinking about it at the minute, but I think this will lend itself to a double wedding ring bed runner. I'm hoping I've got enough variety for the little pieces in the, for the rings, and then I'm going to choose a plain colour for the centres, and then just do some quilting in the centre. So that's what I've got in my mind to do. Yeah, Morris & Co. So I'll let you know how those thoughts progress. The other thing I want to do is this little kit. My daughter absolutely loves hedgehogs, and she's got an array of them now. If you make a collection, it's amazing how people make things for her. And anyway, she does a little, you know how people do now, some people do now, they do a little display on their mantelpiece, and she's done a spring and summer one, and now she's, well, not yet, hopefully not yet, I don't want this to end, I'm a summer girl, but she's going to change it up for autumn and then winter, and I want to make her this for her autumn. It's a Corinne Lapierre, which I think a lot of people have made, and they're really quite successful, and I don't think it will take me long. Based in Yorkshire, England, we're passionate about our little boxes full of creativity. So I'm going to start that this evening, and just take my time, and I'll show you when that's done. The other thing I just wanted to mention was I bought a book which I'm really, really enjoying. It's called The Brain at Rest by Dr. Joseph Gibelli. And The Brain at Rest is a tonic for the frazzled mind. By doing less, we can achieve so much more. And this inspiring book shows us how. This book is a much needed pause button, offering practical, science-based solutions for reclaiming your life from distraction and overwhelm, showing you that productivity and health can coexist in harmony. This book is magic. It won't just refresh your mind, but also make you more productive in both the short and long run. If you want to accomplish more without any relaxation guilt, this book is for you. And I've always believed in this. I've never been one, you know, I think I spoke about it before this week earlier when I said I'm resting after this virus, because when I was young, Nicola, my daughter, she was 6 months, she got mumps. I caught that from her. And then I got glandular fever, and that went into ME. And back then, you know, Nicola was born in 1972. Back then, people hadn't heard of ME. They didn't know what it was, and they didn't know how to treat it. So I had to really find out for myself through herbal medicine and different things like that. And, you know, one of the biggest things is rest and doing nothing with the brain, just for periods of time during the day. But do you find yourself reaching for your phone, or have I got any messages? Have I got any emails? You know, is that something you do? Is that the first thing you do when you wake up? Pick your phone up, see what's what. If it is, this might be a good book for you to help you see that doing nothing, staring into space, people watching, going for that walk, which Pete and I try and do every day, even if we feel like the pits. And it doesn't have to be far, because you can just walk along, you can look at this or look at that. It's very relaxing for the brain. So yeah, don't overtax your brain. And on that note, I'm going to say cheerio, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. It's Friday. There used to be an advert, didn't there? That means it's crunchy day or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, it's Friday. And today I'm going to read you my story. Well, it's turning into a love story really now, because I've met Peter. If you're new here, and thank you for joining me, there is a playlist. I started writing my story, my book, and it started on the 8th of August 1949, went through my early childhood, my childhood, and now my teens, and now I've met Pete, my husband. And so I hope you enjoy this little part, and I'll get on with it. So it's in a playlist, that's what I'm telling you. If you'd like to listen to it from the beginning and fall asleep, it's in a playlist marked My Story, which you can find on my homepage. And I hope you enjoy listening to it. I remember standing on the platform waiting for a tube. I can't remember where we were going. It was Saturday, the 21st of January, and that's how long I'd known Peter, 21 days. But it seemed like I'd always known him, so comfortable. Peter started talking about our future together, and I turned to him and asked, "Are we getting married then?" "Well, yes," he replied, and we hugged and stepped onto the tube. I remember the moment as if it was yesterday. So yes, there was no going down on one knee, there was no him preparing for it all. We just knew we would. We decided to keep it to ourselves. We thought people would laugh at us. After all, 21 days isn't very long to get to know someone, and I wouldn't turn 18 until the August. Still, we made plans to get engaged on my birthday and married the following April. Pete's not someone who plans, so in all honesty, I think I came up with the suggestions. On the 23rd of January, Peter's 22nd birthday, he felt despondent that we weren't together. To cheer ourselves up, we made two decisions: to give up smoking and to start a savings pot. That month, my wages were £39 and 14 shillings, and I spent it all, apart from the £8 I gave Mum for housekeeping. But things were about to change. When I went to visit Peter, it was a long journey there and back for me on the Green Line bus. He was enjoying working for the Major General. He met me from the bus stop and we spent some time together. On the way back, we took a shortcut through a wood. I was a bit scared, so Pete sang to calm my nerves. He sang Ruby by Ray Charles, and his voice was gorgeous. Oh, if I listen to Ruby now, I'll be in tears. I'll never forget that walk with the moon. Oh, I told you. I'll never forget that walk with the moon shining through the trees. Hang on. He saw me onto the bus, and it took a couple of hours to get home. At least the bus took me straight home. After that weekend, I was certain about two things. I didn't want to be an army wife, and I was scared Peter might get posted abroad. So my priority had to be that he left the army. On Wednesday, the 1st of February, I stayed up late and chatted with Mum. I wrote in my diary, Mum and I had a heart-to-heart chat about different things. She's great. Glad I've got a mum like this. I think she knows I want to marry Peter. The next evening, Mum went out and I had a heart-to-heart chat with Dad. My diary entry says he was very sweet and sentimental about how he hadn't been a good enough father to me because he'd been so busy working. I told him he was great. I can't remember exactly what we talked about, but I was clearly getting on well with both of them. I think they like Peter. So on the 1st of February 1967, all was well. Well, there we are. It's beginning to be a love story now, isn't it? And not just my story. So I hope you've had a good week. My week has been better than the previous few weeks, and I've enjoyed talking to you every day. So I'll see you soon, and watch out for me. Cheerio. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well.